Hello, thank you for joining us. Grab a drink and get ready to chat.
Yeah, we'll just get started in a couple of minutes.
Just finished my workout for a bit, so getting myself ready. You want to go first?
Oh, yeah, I can do that. That's fine with me. I'm thinking probably a shorter stream today. I am hungry early.
Hello, Julia.
Hello.
Thank you for joining us. We're just chilling right now. We pulled out our tarot cards and getting ourselves settled in. And Jay's gonna go first.
I'm just getting a feel for the deck.
Yep. Grab a drink. Grab your own tarot cards.
I was listening to a psychology podcast today that, I was like, I listened to music. I was, trying to seek out things that wouldn't bum me out. So, I was avoiding, politics and crime stuff and, even mysteries. Because I was like, nah, I just want
Positivity.
something neutral, at the very least. Doesn't have to be positive, right? Just neutral.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, it was just weird because, some tough to swallow pills.
It was a psychology podcast.
Yeah, and it's weird, sort of cutting edge stuff, I think. But talking about how some modern psychologists are beginning to theorize that the idea of a self is flawed. That what we think is our self, maybe the idea of a self doesn't really exist. Almost, it's a weird.
It's super weird.
It's a weird concept, but the way that they explained it, it was kind of oh, actually, sometimes you hear those things and you're like, what? But the way that it's explained, you're like, well, yeah, I mean, we all are a product of our environment, and we all are responding to biological stimuli, and we all are coded with preferences in our genetic structures, and and you start ticking these boxes, and you're like, okay, so what is me is not really, I didn't choose this. Almost, it's it is sort of a thing. So I don't know, but there was something else too that I just can't quite remember at this moment, but if I remember, I'll mention it. But I thought that was interesting.
That is incredibly interesting. It reminds me of a lot of the sociology work where you unpack some of the labels that you identify with and look at maybe why you've identified that way, and if that was something you chose or something that was placed on you, and what does that actually mean when you identify as that, whether it's forces you to be a certain way that you've just never really thought what if I drop this? Like, what is left then? And it can get very interesting when you do that, and I think like bleeds into that a bit, where it's like, I guess ultimately you'd be left with like nothing, right? Like,
yeah, like that's sort of, I think, I guess the argument is that if we had the full picture of everything that was influencing what we believe are our decisions, that we would learn we aren't actually making any decision at all, basically. That things just sort of are structured in a way for us to be to think that we're choosing to be who we are. But really, like, that's what it is. So, like, there isn't much choice really involved. You know, like, I think kind of is the idea that they were getting at. I got the Six of Pentacles.
very interesting.
Finally didn't pull the Magician for a day.
Yeah, I'll hold it up. Six of Pentacles.
Philanthropy, charitable, magnanimity. The Six of Pentacles shows an elegantly dressed, wealthy man. He holds a balanced scale in his left hand to demonstrate fairness and equality. With the other hand, he is giving money to beggars. This card illustrates the good that can be done with abundance to help the less fortunate. Society's stability is strengthened when well-to-do individuals share the bounty.
I mean, I agree with the sentiment behind this card.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Do you feel like this was a card you needed today? Or that it is just ringing true for you in any way today?
Yeah. I mean, that rings true, I think, to me, like, on a personal level. Not on for today in any particular fashion.
I'm just looking at the line work on this card, because there's a lot
It's
there,
impressive.
too. This deck is just very beautiful.
Yeah. I like the row. There's so much detail.
Yeah, I don't know if you got to look at it as much, but even in some of the, like, the folds, like the borders, there's a lot there. It's very beautiful. I like that the scales are there too.
Yeah.
That balance of justice, I think, is obviously, I think, important to both of us. So I think that's, you know, something that obviously resonates with you.
Yeah. It's funny, you know. That's another one of those things that it's like, well, we'll define that. Right, what's that?
What, justice?
Yeah. You know, what's that really look like?
Yeah.
You know, so somebody kills your kid. What does it mean? You want justice. Like, okay, so you want that person to be, you know, put in a position where they're, you know, physically prevented from being able to do the thing again that killed your kid, or you want that person to be killed, or like what does that? You want them to learn the error of their ways and truly become a changed person and have a true like good faith desire to be a different person and go forth and change the world in a positive manner. Like, what does that? Is it different for everybody? I guess I don't know, but it's another one of those like slippery words. I feel like, which is sort of unfortunate.
I listened to a podcast on memory today that is just interesting. It's not that it was necessarily new information, just, you know, like how easily manipulated our idea of memory is, which is something we've discussed, but they shared how there's actually there's no research to say that you can uncover hidden memories and that your brain hides memories that are painful. This somehow caught on, but there's no actual research to support that.
Right, it's not really backed up by anything.
Correct, but unfortunately, it is something that is used in our judicial system today, with that idea that you can uncover these memories,
no.
and then because you recall fine details, you therefore have truly recalled the memory.
Well, and that's one of my big arguments against the justice system, right, in general. And we may have talked about this already, but we have such like advanced scientific techniques to understand the world around us. So when we're coming up on something like a terrible murder scene, or even just a truly tragic accident, you want to approach the scene like a scientist, right? You want a scientist to be the first guy showing up, to be like, all right, nobody touch anything. Let me get a picture before anybody even like steps in there, because just to be safe. Like, we're gonna document this from the get-go because we need to do that. We need to be like really crossing our T's and dotting our I's, because we're going to be doing this like it is a scientific thing, because ultimately we're going to be doing a lot of science with this stuff. So we need to really, you know what I mean? So like, it's weird because not everybody's equipped to do that, and the people who are equipped to do that sort of thing, I don't think are always the same people who are equipped to like get a rowdy drunk person under control, if that's like. So I don't know, it's just weird, but there needs to be more science, like legitimate science in the system,
or leading some of the legislation.
Well, I mean, like, that would make sense too, but that's like, that would be like, okay, that we ideally, in my opinion, we maybe make changes with like the justice stuff, where we're like, okay, we're going to try and approach this from a much more scientifically minded perspective. If those changes work, then maybe we say, okay, now that we're doing this in like as scientific a way as possible, and we can trust the data that we're getting now from, because that's the other issue with like crime stats, is it's always just like police reports is what we have for crime, but those are very unreliable for like lots of reasons. They're one is because they're not really done like scientifically minded. They're oftentimes, it's like a political thing where they're like, we want violent crime to be as low as possible. We want it to look like we're doing good, So then it comes down to how you're classifying crimes, because an action is criminal, but how the officer decides to catch the criminal, or the evidence they have when they catch the criminal, is maybe going to determine whether or not they're charging them with a felony, which is like a more serious, or a misdemeanor, and you do it in a way so that you're charging with a misdemeanor because you don't want to have more felony counts. You know what I mean? Like, stack it up during this period before elections or whatever. I don't know. So, but once we make changes and we see like, oh yeah, this is better when we do it through that lens, then maybe we try to make some kind of further change like with that. Science is just the way we understand the world, you know what I mean? Like, it's weird when you start doing social stuff though, because like some of that stuff's arguable.
Well, and it's always evolving, but people are also evolving and changing. I mean, things do stay relatively the same when you think of humans, but the situations are evolving and changing, and so it's important to take that time to reflect and reevaluate as time progresses on, rather than staying fixed in one way of doing or being about things.
And that's ideal, but you're talking, it's difficult to adapt to the modern world as quickly as you would need to without considering needing to do that. And
well, it's definitely
factors.
Difficult to do that, but I just feel like, are we even attempting to? Is how I
don't know.
think when I look at this stuff. Like, is that actually even happening? So I got the Empress as my card. I was just waiting to flip it. I knew that top card was for me. And so I was just waiting. So the Empress, these are my Celtic tarot cards. So it's a major card. And then, like, as I pick, I just always ask, show me what I need to see for today. As in, like, the next 24 hours. So, a major card usually is accompanied with a story rooted in some Celtic tale. And I'm struggling to find it. It's probably like the very first one. The Empress, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, the Empress is rising from the blue-green mist and is known as Venus or Aphrodite. Sprang from the sea, and as she stepped ashore, flowers and corn grew. So the Celts had also close contacts with the Greeks. So Venus came from the sea, but was primarily an earth goddess, and she had a different name that I will not be able to pronounce well, but Tailtiel. She was buried beneath a great earth mound at Tailtin in Ireland. Tailtiel was a very primitive earth goddess who later evolved into their triple goddess of Maiden Mother Hag. The Empress is the mother aspect of the goddess, associated with the summer festival of Beltane, celebrated on the 1st of May. It's the most important aspect of fertility. Her purple dress signifies her divine status. She was called Queen of the May or Queen Maeve or the Seed. I don't know if you know how to pronounce that one, because I've seen this word before. Sidhe.
Yeah.
But they were the fairy people in Celtic legend who lived underground in secret caverns. But I don't know how to say it. I'm terrible at that. So they were known to carry off children in order to teach them the skills and art of their people. So the planet Venus is also associated with the arts and all skilled craft work. Her necklace is enlarged to show the unique Celtic sense of beauty and craft. Jewelry was their finest example of perfected art, according to the Celts, which is funny that you've always loved jewelry.
Yep.
The triple design incorporated with carnelian stones was a protective talisman against witchcraft and ill health. The 9 pearls were sacred and associated with the 9 virgins who attended the goddess, I guess. Oh, thank you. The 12 silver stars in the background are symbolic of the 12 constellations of the zodiac. And the 2 pillars of intertwining corn are associated with the fertility of earth and symbolic of the role of the Empress as patroness of the arts in refining the nature of mankind. But the craft of homemaking and motherhood remains the most creative skill of all. All the skills hold the standards of civilization, which could not evolve or advance without them. So this card signifies initiative and success, pleasure and pursuit of the arts, which can appear excessive or sensual. But in its highest form, art is a spiritual experience that enriches the soul. The Empress has an unknown quality which does rely on the spiritual nature. It promises much, but the individual has to overcome the undercurrent of earthly passion. It reveals a fine appreciation of the arts and an understanding of the practical skills or labor involved. The querent may be involved with the construction of something pertaining to the arts, but it can also be associated with successful enterprises of any kind. Motherhood can be the most important role at present, but it could also just be fruitful labor of both men and women. It combines the highest spiritual quest with the lowest or more earthly qualities and pursuits of mankind.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
We should do one where we look at our cards sorted together and what that could potentially mean.
Oh, what, like pick them intentionally as if they're working together? Like
No.
not mix the decks
No, like I pick a card and you pick a card.
at
Right.
the same time?
No, well, but it doesn't matter when. But like one after the other is fine too, I think. But we consider that, or maybe we even request that they work together to give us a message, so that then there's 2 and we're
Getting
what I mean?
a lot of power from them.
And possibly a more detailed, intricate message, right? Like, because this one sort of is, I feel like, speaking to both of us in a way about a male and it said like a male and female endeavor if it's not like child rearing, and you're so close to like child rearing with your profession that like always counts. You know what I mean? But
Right.
we have endeavors together, so like that also sort of qualifies. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It just kind of made me think like, oh, I wonder, maybe that it might be fun. You know.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great idea. I would
Fun
love to see that.
exercise and interpretation.
The colors of this card aren't like my colors.
Mm-hmm.
That
They're
like
really beautiful colors. I was going to say that.
that like purple and the fuchsia. That's
Yeah.
like that's my thing. All right. Well, yeah, I think we could do that next time. Maybe attempt to pick 2 cards that pertain to us. I'm still keeping mine separate from the deck, so like I think that's just something to consider, like the ones I've already
Mhm.
picked. But so far, I haven't had an issue.
Yeah, that's fine with me. Okay.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us. If you
Yeah.
have any topics you want us to discuss or you want to chat more,
About?
feel free, about anything, feel free to email us, inspiringconversation@gmail.com. And that's all. Anything else you want to add?
No, I think that's about it. I was thinking we should start a Discord probably at some point too.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good place to have conversations.
To build a community.
That too.
But thank you for joining us.
Till next time. See you tomorrow.